Hello everyone, and welcome to my October wrap-up. I am going to be going over the 4 books that I read in the month of October. The first book I finished was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the first book in the Raven cycle, and this was also the random read-alongs book of the moment. I'm calling it the book of the moment because it's during a month, but it's not every month, so yeah. That's what I'm calling it anyway. This book follows an eclectic cast of characters. One of them mainly is the character of Blue. She is part of a family of psychics, and her power is not to be a psychic but to be an amplifier. And she meets 4 boys. They're called the Raven Boys because they go to the same private school. And there is also a quest to find some ley lines, to find some magical connection, and there's also this quest for this dead Welsh king. I love the atmosphere of this book and some of the characterizations of the characters. Like the main guy, Gansey, he is just like an old man trapped in a young kid's body. It's just, I like this book. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. From there, I kind of veered from my TBR. I know some people really liked my TBR video last month, but I had heard that this was a good read for the month of October, and I had the book, so I gave it a shot and really wanted to get to it, and that is this chunker of The Diviners by Libba Bray. I absolutely loved this story. The writing was phenomenal. The environment that the book created, like the writing style it just created, like there is just these 2 pages just describing the wind. The wind is traveling from like the party that was going on in the first chapter and down the streets of New York, and talking about the things the wind has witnessed, and it ends up at the house that is the spooky house, the main villain's house in it, and it was just, it captivated me, the writing of like this. I did have a few issues with the main character, Evie. I just didn't like her. I thought she was self-centered, selfish, and a little bit arrogant, but I didn't hold my opinions of the character against the book because that's the way that Evie was. I saw why she was the way she was. I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. I was gonna give it a 4 out of 5 just because I didn't like Evie, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. The next book I read was The Dead House by Dawn Kurtagich, and this was another one of those spooky reads I wanted to read for Halloween. I am so glad that I picked up this book. This book is about a girl, well rather 2 girls in one body. It's kind of mistaken that she has a case of DID, but there's the story of Caitlin, who only comes out at night, and Carly, who only comes out during the day, and they're 2 different people. They've always been like this, but since their parents have died in a car crash, no one really believes them, so she's been in a mental facility and then in a private school. There's a lot of creepy things that happen. This entire book is told in the form of like diary entries from Caitlin. It's mostly told from Caitlin's point of view. So there are diary entries from Caitlin, little notes here and there from Carly, and also transcripts of interviews and video transcripts. Like yeah. It was really interesting to see what was happening next. You knew the outcome, like you knew there were some deaths, and you're like, what happened, and is she really crazy, or is there something spooky happening? I don't know. Read the book to find out. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. The last book that I got to read in the month of October is The Coldest Girl in Coldtown by Holly Black. I absolutely loved this book. Vampires. It's it's vampires, but this was incredibly real to me. I love the way the world worked, with the fact that vampires have kind of been outed, and they deal with that in society. But it follows a girl named Tana who has woken up after a party. There's this sundown party where they basically lock all the doors, party all night, and then go home at dawn, because you don't want to be caught outside after dark because, you know, vampires. It turns out that she's like, the party got slaughtered while she was passed out in the bathtub, and so she's got to figure out her way through that. There was also one other survivor, and they end up going to a Coldtown, which is basically a town for infected and vampires and humans who want to go there to possibly be turned, who knows. But I really like this a lot. I like that this book didn't romanticize vampirism as much as books do, like Twilight. Yeah, I'm going there. This was very real. There was a lot of blood and fear and just dealing with a lot of grown-up things, being a teenager still. Like, the main character's 17, dealing with all the things that she has dealt with in her life and what the future might hold. I was kind of peeved at the ending just a little bit, but not enough. I mean, I can just change the ending in my head and be like, it was kind of like, you don't know what happens next, but it could be up to you. Who knows? I'm not really explaining this well, other than I really like this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I did start reading Bram Stoker's Dracula, but I was feeling very dense at the time, and I knew that if I continued to read I would slump, so I did pick up The Coldest Girl in Coldtown after I put down Dracula. Anyway, that is all for me for this wrap up. I'm gonna stop talking now, and it has gotten dark since I started recording this video. Thankfully, I've gotten these light bulbs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!